Hey guys, Rye here, and today I'm bringing you a Shadowverse first look video. So, in the middle of last week, I was sponsored as part of the Tempo Storm community team to play Shadowverse on stream and to see how the game was. So for those that are totally unaware of what Shadowverse is a free-to-play collectible card game. It's available on Android and iOS, and it's also available on the PC. I've been playing it via Steam. It's got incredibly fantastic artwork. I'm usually not a lover of anime style artwork, but the game is very, very pretty. From the details of the cards to the animations, the voiceovers, it is really, really, really good. So for someone who's not usually taken by that sort of art style, it must be really, really good to get me interested. It's got your usual trading card game aspects, or your collecting card game aspects, where you can face other players, you can face the AI. However, in comparison to other card games that I've played, versing the AI in Shadowverse is different in a couple of ways. One, the incredible voiceovers. It feels as though you are actually fighting against a boss or another character or someone that throughout the main story, which we'll talk about in a bit, it just gives that more in-depth feeling. You feel as though you're actually part of a fight rather than just a throw up of cards like you are in some other games. So, as I mentioned, the main story in Shadowverse is huge. So you have a main story aspect, which I can show you now, where you progress through story arcs, and as you can see here where it says leaders completed, you can progress through these story arcs as the several different leaders. Now, leaders in Shadowverse are what other card games may call classes, and they have different specialities. They have different aspects of their gameplay in which they use different cards and different abilities coupled with their cards, different passive abilities that the leaders have in order to win the game in certain ways that other leaders can't. So just an example, the main thing that I've been playing recently, or the main class that I've been playing recently, is Dragoncraft. Now with Dragoncraft, here you have the ability to overflow. Now what overflow means is that when you reach 7 of your 10 maximum play points, known as mana in other games, it allows you to add additional effects to cards. So the later you get into the game, at that 7 play point or 7 mana point or 7 turn point plus, you are enhancing your cards, you're playing stronger cards, and it's just a passive ability of playing Dragoncraft. That is the part of Dragoncraft. I don't know a huge amount about the other leaders. I have seen some, I have played against some. One of the other ones that really does interest me is Bloodcraft. With Bloodcraft, all leaders have 20 health points maximum. So with Bloodcraft, at 10 health points, or at half health, you gain a passive ability called Vengeance. And Vengeance allows you to enhance your cards. So it's almost like the weaker you get, the stronger you get. It's almost like a counter. The enemy thinks that they're slowly weakening you down, and all of a sudden, even though you're at half health, you start getting a little bit of power back via your Vengeance passive, and that's what makes Bloodcraft. I have looked into some of the others. I haven't actually played them enough to give you a full review on them, or even what I think of them. But Dragoncraft, I have played through that first story arc that I was showing you there, which is called the Morning Star. The prologue is almost like the tutorial, so it introduces you to the game, to the mechanics of the game, which if you've played other card games, if you've played Hearthstone, if you've played Magic the Gathering, if you've played card games in real life, if you've played actual tabletop card games, the aspects of playing the game, they'll flow to you quite naturally. You'll be able to understand and to get through the game fairly easily, I would think. So we have the 8 leaders that we can progress through this story arc here, which is a total of 15 chapters. In between each chapter, there is a small cutscene where you have full voiceovers, and the story evolves. Like I said, full voiceovers. It's not something you would normally see in this sort of game, but the level of detail is incredible. The voiceovers are both in English and Japanese, so for those anime lovers that they do watch their anime in Japanese with English subtitles, you can do exactly the same here. Gives them the more immersive feeling, the true to how it was originally made feeling. So you have 8 leaders to complete on this here: the Guild War, the conclusion to the 2nd chapter, and then apparently there's also new story content being added in a couple of weeks' time as well, on top of everything that we currently have. So apart from the main story, you also have practice where you can play against a computer opponent, because this is your solo gameplay. Then you have multi-gameplay, which is what you would expect your multiplayer gameplay to be. You have unranked matches, which is a fantastic feature. I think it's an aspect that's missing from certain collecting card games. Playing ranked, playing unranked, there needs to be a split between the two. I think there's some games, not just card games, where there is almost like a forced rank which is put into the game. And it does give the character a feeling of self-worth, but the problem is that if they find themselves stuck at what they personally consider a lower rank, it might discourage them from playing the game. Some people don't want to play the game to be ranking competitive. They want to be competitive in the aspect of course, they want to win the current match that they're playing, but they don't want to win the current match that they're playing or lose the current match that they're playing and worry about some adverse effect which, might influence the next game they play, so they go down a rank. So the next game might not be enjoyable because they're playing against someone worse than them, or they go up a rank and then all of a sudden they're playing against people that either own cards or play in such a way that they could never possibly beat, so they find themselves almost in a hole which isn't very enjoyable, and they decide, okay, I don't want to play this anymore. So having an unranked feature, I think is a massive plus for any game, but especially in a game like Shadowverse where deck building and deck customization, you should be able to change your deck at will. Maybe swap this card in or out because you fancy like playing this card, or you fancy like playing in this way, or you want to make your deck be very powerful in the early game or very powerful in the late game. You should be able to change those at will and then go and play matches which don't yet again give you this ranking system. You then do have your ranking system. I know there is a huge percentage of card players in Magic and Hearthstone which only play ranked. They want to play ranked, and even in other games, non-card games, people love a ranked mode. They like something which shows them how they are doing against the current meta, or just in general how they're doing against the player base. With a ranking system, you can learn a lot because you're playing against people better than you as you're ranking up. There's certain tips and tricks and everything that you might only learn from ranking because people are essentially, try-harding, in quotation marks. So you can learn, bits and pieces here and there. And you have your private matches, which allows you to just, challenge a friend, play for fun, all different little things like that. You then also have the arena, which gives you certain challenges which you can complete, which give you specific rewards, which then you can use to buy decks or card packs from the shop, and tournament mode as well, which also gives you specific rewards. And the tournament mode and the tournament matches, you can find out more information about those on the Shadowverse website and the Shadowverse Twitter, where they give you all the information about what the rewards are and what the tournament matches entail. We then have our cards section where we can see what our decks are, and we can see also what our individual cards are as well. When we see our individual cards, you'll notice at the top there's a button called Liquefy Cards. This allows you to turn the cards into vials, and then this currency vials you can use to build new cards. Very similar to other games. I'm going to keep referencing Hearthstone because it is the PC card game that I'm most familiar with, so it is the same as turning your excess cards or cards that you just don't want anymore into dust, and then using that dust in order to create new cards to perhaps build a specific deck that you want. You'll also noticed here in the decks and in the multi and solo, you have something called Rotation and Unlimited. Now, Rotation are the latest 3 expansions worth of cards, and in rotation mode you can only use those cards, so it is keeping the game fresh by only allowing to use cards that have recently been released. Unlimited is of course the opposite to that, and it allows you to use any cards you want. That means that there might be specific combinations of new decks that come out, and maybe even like the first decks that ever came out, combining those in specific ways to create incredible decks. So you have the option of playing either or as well. I believe if we go back to multi and we compete, there is also 2 totally different ranks, one for rotation and one for unlimited. Obviously melding these into one wouldn't be a fair thing. If we then go to the shop, we have 3 different things here which I will show you. Buying supplies is stuff that impacts your game in a aesthetical way. So you can buy sleeves, which are essentially card backs. There's loads of different categories. Some of these are currently free. Some of these ones down the bottom here, these are free totally. So if you decided to play Shadowverse, or you already are playing Shadowverse and you don't know, go to the bottom of the buy sleeves section here, and there are some that are free. You also then see the score rewards for 2016, 17, 18 and 19. Some really nice looking card backs here. So do look into these as well if this is something that interests you. Another thing I really like about Shadowverse as well is that you can have different leaders. Some of these are yet again fantastic artwork, really good looking stuff, and you can see the icon next to the leader for which leader they will replace and which class that they are implemented for. And yet again you've got some really nice ones down here as well. The Street Fighter ones I'm quite a fan of. Almost makes me want to just play as Bison the whole time. Although I must admit, with my current love for Dragoncraft and that being the first thing that I've picked up, Ryu's not a bad choice. None of these are currently free. There are some here that you'll notice you can buy for rupees and for crystals, which I will let you know about in the next section as to the difference between those two. But there are also some leaders, some special leaders, some legendary ones, some very, very good looking ones that you can only get from cards, or you can also get some of these from card packs. So you do have a chance to just open these as well. So if we go back here, I also see that you can buy cards. You can buy card packs, and you can buy pre-built decks, and you can also trade temporary cards as well. You can earn temporary gems by playing matches, and then you can get a card and use it for a specific amount of time. Buying packs, you can buy an individual pack of cards, and pre-built decks, you can buy an entire deck of cards, of which you can use some of these pre-built decks in the solo mode. So you can test out the decks, see if you like them, and therefore buy them. The other thing I then wanted to show you, obviously, is the buy crystals, which you'll see here. These are crystals that you can buy, which are the in-game currency built with real money. So you'll notice on the other screen there was rupees and crystals, which I said I'll tell you the difference between. Rupees are like an in-game gold, which you get from doing daily challenges, and they're rewards from also going through the story mode. Specific parts of the story mode will give you different things like vials, rupees, cards for the specific deck that you're playing at the time. And you can use those rupees to buy the items. If you don't have the rupees and you want to use crystals instead, you can use the crystals, but obviously keep an eye out for the specific items in the store which you can buy with in-game currency or real-life currency, and there are some that you can only buy with the real-life crystal currency. So you will probably want to save your crystals, if you do end up buying crystals, for those. In the more section, you'll notice that there's the usual stuff that you would get as an additional in any sort of game. You've got your options, your guides, the official website, the Shadowverse portal, promo codes of which some become available, and you keep an eye out for those also on Shadowverse's site, Twitter, and that other social media. Your friends, your current rankings, your profile, which you can customize by changing the flare and the icon. You can also see at the bottom here the different rankings for your each individual leaders and classes that you're currently playing and how far you've got with those as well. And the other thing here is a device link. Now, I did mention at the start that Shadowverse is available for Android, iOS, and Steam on the PC. If you do have a Shadowverse account on your phone and you want to start playing on the PC, you can link those two, and vice versa. If you have one on the PC and you decide to start playing on your phone, you can link those. There is a reward for linking those two as well, which is one of the challenges, so you should make sure you do that. So there you go, guys. That's my initial coverage of Shadowverse and what I think of the game and the game's features. It plays very similar to other card games that I've played. The action, the combat, the spell effects and everything are fantastic. This art style does lend itself very, very well to aspects like that, especially with the Japanese voiceovers as well. When you're playing specific cards and that feel of battle that's going on, that authenticity of having the Japanese voiceover. So if you guys are interested in playing Shadowverse, you can by all means go to the Shadowverse website and you'll be able to download it here, either on the App Store, Google Play, or on Steam. Keep up to date with all of the updates, how the current seasons are progressing, what the current tournament rewards are. Follow Shadowverse on Twitter and they'll give you some additional news in that as well. And you can also access this by going to the bottom of my stream and clicking on the link. If you want to catch me streaming at any point, I do stream live over at twitch.tv/Rysoon as part of the Tempo community team. And you can click on the link here at the bottom to download Shadowverse, which will also help me out massively. Follow me on Twitter, subscribe and like this video on YouTube if that is something you indeed want to do. And I shall catch you guys another time.